You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and really delighted to welcome back to the show my friend Vincent Jones, CEO of Beyond Impact. A little bit later, Al Reynolds, our politics and pop culture contributor, will be joining us. But Vincent, it's just you and me for the moment.
I got you all to myself. I feel special.
You sure do. You sure do. Look, Michigan just handed the Democratic Party a clarifying moment, and I'm so glad that you're here to help us understand it. Vincent, I got to ask you to first just walk us through plainly what actually happened in Michigan on Tuesday night, and why is the political class calling it a nail biter and an earthquake all at the same time?
So I think it's interesting to look at the discussion about it today, because I don't think it's a recent thing. It's really the result of years of organizing on the ground. You have groups like Detroit Action, a partner of Beyond Impact, and several other groups who have been working between elections to go to knock on doors, to talk about the issues, to develop leaders, to help people to understand how who is in office impacts their everyday lives. And it's that kind of organizing that has got us people like Rashida Tlaib and many others in Michigan and in other states. So it's not just about this one moment. It has been movement building over time. At the same time, people are angry. They're angry at establishment Democrat trying to be, in their view, MAGA light or Republican light. Many of the moderates say, well, if I want that, I'll vote for that. And so what we're seeing in this election is somebody who's willing to call a thing and to do it with their 10 toes down. And that's what people want right now. They do not want people just to kind of send out a nicely worded letter. They want them to really fight for the future of our country.
That's right. That's right. And I just want to really double click on something that you said. It is something that has been a part of your life's work and my life's work for a long time, which is that work in between election cycles. There's a lot of hubbub that we hear heading into any particular election. But then a lot of that goes silent, goes dormant in between election cycles, and in my view, and I'm curious whether or not you share the view. I suspect you do. That I think one of the things that folks on the right, get right, is that investment in that communications infrastructure, that investment, in the next generation of movement leaders, that investment in between election cycle is oftentimes what makes the biggest difference, particularly in races like this, where it's a very close call for folks on the ground in places like Michigan.
It's so true. And I can tell a personal story. When I was a college student at Swarthmore, it's a very progressive institution. A lot of the students who go there are very involved in progressive activism. At one point, Richard Nixon called it the Kremlin on the Crumb. We have a river called the Crumb River, saying they were like socialists and communists. The Young Republicans the conservative, some group gave a $10,000 grant to 4 students to start a conservative campus, a conservative group on campus. And they used that money to bring these big thinkers in. Those same students got paid fellowships to work at the Heritage Foundation over the summer in DC. Heritage has a huge building in DC where they house interns for free. Now, I know no organization on the progressive side of the aisle that has a building to house people. When I did an internship in DC when I was in college, I was lucky that I did have a fellowship that did pay for me to live over summer because I didn't have a wealthy family to come from. So I was able to have a scholarship that paid for me in summer to do work. And that helped me to be on the path to where I am today. So thinking about the thousands of people we're seeing today who are destroying our democracy, they started in college. They got scholarships, they got housing, they got mentorship, they got tutoring to learn how to be these Stephen Millers of the world.
I mean, look, if that don't say we need to get serious about our investment in people, our investment in leaders, every step of the way, I don't know what does. Thank you for sharing that story. Speaking of leaders that are delivering a return on investment, Donovan McKinney's win likely restores Black representation to a district that had it continuously since the 1950s, minus the past few years of an interruption. Talk to us about what that interruption revealed about how quote unquote safe Black political seats really are.
Mm. Well, I think that is a great question because a lot of the calculus of campaigns assumes that folks who have reliably voted one way do not need to be talked to. And so instead, it's those who waffle are the ones who get the attention. But after a while, if you get ignored, you just drop out of the system. You kind of like you back up, and that I think was happened not just in that race, but in Kamala's race for president and in many other elections, especially at a time when Black people and Black voters are being attacked. So you need to be able to show that you care about Black voters, that you care about our issues, that you understand the fear that we feel, the anger that we have, and the real issues that need to be addressed.
Mhm.
So it's a wake up call. It should be a wake up call for all campaigns to not just do the same tactics to keep winning.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of some of these tactics,
Mhm.
it's worth noting that Donovan McKinney he ran on this economic populism message. He was talking about ending corporate PAC money. He was talking about Medicare for all. He was talking about taxing the wealthy, while also carrying the banner of restoring Black representation. Are those two lanes actually one lane, or is the party still treating them separately?
Interesting. I was thinking about it for a little bit, but what I do want to talk about the importance of Black leadership and a Black led organizing in general. It is in this climate we're in now. People talk about why DEI is bad, anti DEI, but it has been Black led organizing that has expanded access to democracy for all. And it is not just it is not just about benefiting us who have Black skin. It's really about we have been holding this country's feet to the fire to fulfill its promise. And so when you have Black elected officials, yes, they definitely have a personal understanding. They should have a personal understanding of our lived experience and the issues that are important in Congress and city halls and whatever it might be. But we have, for some reason, been able to really make sure that we truly are of, for, and by the people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've got to ask you if you're a moderate Democrat in a
Yeah.
swing district and you're watching Michigan, you're
Mm.
watching it real closely. What's your takeaway? Is it panic? Is it we got to adapt? Is it we got to stay the course? What's the takeaway?
I'll be clutching my pearls and I'll be calling my consultants and trying to figure out, well, what else did I do differently? I mean, I think every campaign it has to actually run for its district. The state of Michigan, of course, it's one large state, but every district has its own unique fundamentals. And when I worked on campaigns, I will never forget Rose Kapelchinsky. She is the campaign manager I worked for the most. She is a brilliant thinker. If you don't know her, Google her, find out about her. But she always said, listen, you do your work at the beginning, you figure out how many votes you need to win, you figure out how you're going to get that win number, and you stay true to your plan until stuff changes on the ground, make you think differently. I don't know that what we're seeing in Michigan will translate everywhere. 'Cause I will
Mhm.
also say someone else also told me, who I respect, that for the majority of American history that there's been polling, most people, regardless of their party, would say that they're conservative. That number has only shifted a little bit over the past few years, but over the past 20, 40 years, it has been fairly consistent. The majority of people, regardless of party, say they're conservative. So I think there is something to this idea that moderates win at the general election, and progressives can have a chance of winning in the primary. But that said, if I was a moderate, I would be worried. I would want to make sure our plan fundamentals still hold, and they don't hold. I want to make some changes, and I probably would start just having a little more feistiness in my messaging, and not just try to play it safe all the time.
Yeah, let's head to this next story that's happening right here in Southern California. A federal judge held the Department of Homeland Security in contempt on Tuesday for allegedly slow rolling a court order to create digital copies of communications from personal cell phones used by immigration agents during operations in LA last year. U.S. District Judge had ordered the government back in January to expedite imaging the personal cell phones of more than 800 agents involved in those raids. The judge imposed a $500 per day fine on the federal government until it complies, plus reimbursement of plaintiffs' attorney legal costs. The Department of Homeland Security attorneys admitted in June that the agency hadn't turned over the records, telling the judge that they were processing devices at a rate of 3 phones every 2 weeks. Vincent, I've got to ask, what do you make of this? I mean, folks already have a lot of agila, to say the least, over how the Department of Homeland Security is being run, how ICE is being weaponized. We saw Democrats earlier this year hold on voting for a funding bill, in hopes of winning, some changes to business as usual at ICE. That proved to be unsuccessful. What do you make of this latest disclosure? This fact that it's another data point that proves that DHS is operating in a lawless manner.
First, I wanted to really break down what's happening, because when you see the headline, the average person may think, what is really going on here? So imagine you're trying to sue somebody for being racist. They're saying racist stuff on their cell phones. But the other side is trying to say, oh no, those are personal phones. We don't have the right, or we don't have the ability to get that information to be able to use to prove that they're racist. Now, from what I understand, in the actual court case, the people in question who are being accused of being racist have said they use their personal phones a lot while they're at work. So they're using their phones while they're at work. They're being accused of being racist, but for some reason, the federal government, who can put people onto the moon, can't get into the phone of their employees. Now, I have 2 phones, one for work and one personal, because of this very reason. And I make sure that all of my work stuff is dealt with on my work phone and my personal phone. So if something were to happen, I'll be like, here's my work phone. Go ahead and have at it. My personal phones are personal. So that's one part. I want to break that down. But the irony that the government loves to search the phones, the computers, every device of immigrants, of lawyers of immigrants, of activists, of everyone who is just being a regular person, but the people who are charged and are held to a higher standard, they don't want to do anything about that. That to me is a height of hypocrisy, and we all should be up in arms about that, regardless of how you feel about immigration. If you are a libertarian, you should be pissed off. If you're a conservative, you should be concerned because they're not following the rule of law.
Well, let me tell you something. I feel like the libertarians have been tied up in a broom closet. Because as much as they like to talk about protecting civil liberties, as much as they want to cite, the philosophy of John Stuart Mill as sort of undergirding, the libertarian thought that they're wedded to, part of my frustration with libertarians is, they never seem to show up in the midst of the fight.
Never.
Right. And this is a righteous fight. If you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in the protection of our civil rights and civil liberties, you should be paying attention to this case because, the fact that, to your point, the federal government is being sued for violating people's rights, and they are slow walking a court order to hand over the evidence, a court order. And so you have this federal judge is now imposing this 500 per day fine. What's that going to do? Right. What's that going to do with an agency that has never seen more funding in its existence? Right now, as we sit here today, ICE, which is under the Department of Homeland Security, is funded, I believe, through 2029. 2029. I mean, I think they're operating off of something like 75 or 80 billion dollars. They are better funded than the FBI, better funded than the ATF. They're one of the most funded law enforcement agencies in the country. So what's $500 per day? What's that going to do?
Mm-hmm. I think they have a bigger budget than every mil. Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
I think they have more money than every other military combined. I saw some stat like that. It's insane. And they should be charged a lot more than $500 a day, 100%.
That's right. When we come forward, the fun is, it's only going to get more fun because Al Reynolds is going to join us to unpack some of the day's biggest, in some case, most troubling, in some case, most interesting headlines. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Al and Vincent when we come forward.
But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Here's a stat that should be a major concern for Dodgers fans. The Dodgers are 3-7 since they went to the White House on July 23rd to celebrate last year's World Series championship with Trump. A lot of people told the Dodgers they shouldn't go, but they went anyway. No matter which side of the political debate you fall on, it is plain to see that the Dodgers have been struggling since that White House visit. The Dodgers hope to snap their 5-game losing streak tonight in Chicago against the Cubs. Some key dates to put on your calendar for USC football this season. USC opens up at home August 29th against San Jose State. Ohio State comes to town October 31st. The Trojans play at defending national champion Indiana November 14th. The UCLA football team, with new coach Bob Chesney, opens up at Cal on September 5th. UCLA wraps up the season November 28th against USC at the Rose Bowl. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
There is no denying that we've always been the conscience of this country. KBLA Talk 1580 is progressive talk radio built for our community, by our community, and with hosts who look like you, live near you, and care about what you care about. 50,000 watts of truth right here in Southern California. KBLA Talk 1580. Listen live on your AM radio dial at 1580 or stream us live on our KBLA1580.com website or on our free KBLA 1580 app.
Unapologetically progressive.
We don't do ordinary. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. August 5, 2026. Dear LA City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson, on behalf of a coalition of businesses and residents that constitute the Crenshaw Corridor community, we write to request that a concrete timeline and resources for fully completing Destination Crenshaw within a year be developed and announced. A year is the outside time it should take, and we hope and expect that it can be finished considerably sooner. We also request the immediate establishment of a business interruption relief fund for the merchants, entrepreneurs, churches, and property owners who have borne the disproportionate economic burden of the prolonged delays associated with the Destination Crenshaw project, and a resident relief fund for the residents of the corridor who have been most adversely affected by the prolonged construction and delays associated with this unfinished development. Destination Crenshaw was presented to this community as a transformational investment in Black culture, Black commerce, and the future of South Los Angeles. It has now been 6 years since the project broke ground and over 2 years since the promised completion date. Construction has stalled with no apparent end date in sight. The Crenshaw Corridor community embraced the vision of Destination Crenshaw, but the obstruction from the delayed construction has caused prolonged health and safety hazards, uncertainty, reduced customer access, declining revenues, disruptions, and mounting financial hardship. A broad spectrum of the community expressed their frustration over these delays and the impact they have had on the community at a standing room only July 30th town hall at Bethesda Temple Church, widely covered by the media, including ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. The burden of these unexplained delays should not rest on the shoulders of the Crenshaw Corridor community, which acted in good faith and supported this historic project. If the city fails to provide a complete and substantive response to this correspondence within 30 days of the date of this letter, the Crenshaw Corridor community reserves its right to pursue all of its rights and remedies. Sincerely, the Crenshaw Corridor community. To read the complete letter detailing all of our demands, go to our website at kbla1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and really delighted to be together again. We got Vincent Jones, the CEO of Beyond Impact, and Dr. Al Reynolds, who is executive in residence over at Bowie State University. He's our politics and pop culture contributor, and he's booked and busy. And so we're glad to have you with us.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, but I see my notice to HR didn't change anything. Brother Vincent is still on the flyer. Bigger before me. He's still number 2, not number 3. He's talking higher management, please.
Well, you know, it's like with like on like in the old on what's that show with, oh my gosh, with Heather Locklear was a guest star at the end.
Melrose Place?
Yes, Melrose Place.
All right, folks. Well, let me tell you something. This is this Epstein drama and saga may have Melrose Place beat. A new Senate Finance Committee report from Democrats led by Senator Ron Wyden alleges that more than a dozen bankers at J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, the Deutsche Bank, they all raised red flags about money that Jeffrey Epstein was moving around the world, but in most cases failed to alert the Treasury Department until Epstein was actually charged with sex trafficking in 2019. The report alleges that the banks failed to conduct appropriate due diligence on, get this, a more than $170 million in payments that Leon Black, former CEO of private equity giant Apollo Global Management, made to Epstein. $170 million in payments to Epstein, with Black identified as Epstein's single largest source of funding. Vincent, from a policy and oversight lens, what actually happens next with a report like this? And does it lead anywhere? Does it live and die in the press cycle, perhaps?
Now, you know, good and guard down well, and nothing gonna happen. Now, if it was one of us, I had a situation recently when I transferred some money from my checking account to my credit card account at the same bank that I've had for a while. And do you know they held the money? I was like, wait, you see it in one account and you see it going to the other account, but you're holding the money. Now, if I was a billionaire, if I was Jeffrey Epstein, maybe I wouldn't have any issue. And that is the real problem. People who have money, the billionaires and rich people in this country right now, they are abusing the system. They're allowed to abuse the system, and we have to put a stop to it. But unfortunately, the people we have who are leading our country right now are in cahoots with them. and they do not want to do anything because they know, or I believe, that they're also implicated in some of the wrongdoing.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see that being the case here. Al, I want to ask you, culturally, why does this story keep resurfacing without real consequences for the institutions involved? I mean, I just named some pretty heavy hitting financial institutions. I would venture to say a lot of our leaders, learners, and listeners got all of their money or a lot of their money tied up in these institutions. Why is it that they don't seem to, any real consequences don't seem to stick?
Well, let me tell you, I think you, Brother Jones, as well as you, Dr. Nii-Quartelai, have really hit this whole story on its head. Now, this just isn't about one wealthy client, like Brother Jones suggested. This is about a group. This is a white boys club. This is a wealth club that runs the economy, creates industry, creates economy, and commoditizes their relationships amongst each other. This is also about institutional responsibility. Now, remember, I was a private wealth banker at Merrill Lynch, and it was a part of this whole consortium of people that participated in this, what we call irresponsible banking. Now, banks spend billions of dollars every year monitoring transactions to detect money laundering, to detect fraud, and to detect financial crimes. But you're going to tell me when the wealthiest, not one person, but group of people are doing it, that a red flag is going to be thrown? Absolutely not. So when allegations surface that obviously are warning signs that they have missed, the question becomes, like you said, not who's responsible, but who's going to take responsibility. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Accountability should never stop with just one person who you've let through when it is it's a group of them all doing the same thing. Had they exposed him, it would have bellied up the financial service industry in general. It would have bellied up the venture capitalist industry in general. It would have bellied up the asset management industry in general. So I say this, sometimes the system deserves just as much scrutiny, meaning as the people exploiting it, which means all the wealthy people. And the only way we're going to get accountability is if we make the banks responsible for the people that they've allowed to come in and exploit the rest of us. Because I'm going to tell you what, you're not going to get away with not paying an overdraft fee.
No.
Yeah, you're not. And Al, while you turn up the volume on your microphone, we want to make sure we hear you loud and clear. If you turn up the volume on your microphone right now while we're live, I just want to ask you a follow-up question, because you're right. I mean, I know that you have experience, working on Wall Street. I know you have a lot of experience in the financial services industry, and I think you just hit on a very important point that I just want to lift up. That it's hard to not read the story and to not see these as a series of choices made by folks in leadership, perhaps a coordinated choice by folks in leadership at a host of different major banks.
Yeah, for sure. Is that better?
Just a little bit more.
You know what? Okay, something's going on over here.
It's all right. But as you work on that, hey, Vincent, I want to go to you. I want to go to you on this question around accountability. Is bank accountability or money laundering, is it a bipartisan winner, or does it splinter along other lines? I mean, is this an issue that folks should be united in addressing, or is this still a loser issue for one party or the other?
Unfortunately, it is not a bipartisan issue yet, and I'm not even sure we have broad consensus among the Democratic Party, to be honest, because there was, you might remember the consumer, I forgot the whole acronym, but the agency that Liz Warren set up before she
the Consumer Financial Protection Agency.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was not widely supported even among all Democrats, and it definitely wasn't supported by both parties. And after it was created, it was slowly and slowly and slowly dismantled. There were a lot of folks on Wall Street and in the financial industry who supported Obama and Biden for whatever reasons, who are now supporting this current administration. And a lot of what they supported was deregulation. So I think so. There is the banks have an outsized control of our system. They finance both sides of the aisle, and it creates this strange bedfellow for Democrats. That's why we really have to look at money in politics. We have to create a system where average people are able to speak and act as loudly as a corporation or a billionaire within our system. And that's what a lot of our groups do at Beyond Impact, to try to make sure that they're balancing the playing field.
Yeah. Al, I want to go back to you and ask you, what should everyday account holders take away about how seriously or not their own banks treat suspicious activity reporting?
Oh, I'm hoping this is better. I put in
Much better.
Yes.
It is okay, cool. Being that I've worked on both sides of the bank, meaning I have been a service provider for clients like yourself, Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and now being a client myself, I think what we have to do is we have to just make sure that we document and are aware of the wrongdoing. And if it feels wrong when it comes to your money, your gut tells you when it's wrong. When it feels wrong, you have to complain. You have to take it to the correct channels of putting in a complaint. Now, a lot of us don't even know that we can complain about stuff. And this is not just a customer service call. No, you have to go beyond a customer service call, because customer service calls only get customer service solutions. You have to go to protocol discrepancy, right? So, and also you bind it with the contract. So you are not disputing a customer problem, you're disputing a contract problem, because you have entered into a contract with your account. So I think that's the first thing that we have to do. And when we feel something isn't right, we have to go through the correct channels of reporting it, because that's something that has to be followed up institutional as well as by the governing bodies of it, right? So the watch houses. So that's what I would recommend that all consumers do that have banking accounts, and when something happens that doesn't feel good.
That's sage advice there. Okay, now it's time for a palate cleanser. A quick palate cleanser before we move forward. Leonardo DiCaprio and Jeff Bezos, they've launched the Phoenix Species Project, a $200 million initiative to help revive 100 of Earth's most critical endangered species, including lemurs and salamanders and a whole lot of other animals. Half the funding comes from the Bezos Earth Fund. The rest comes from Leonardo DiCaprio's regarding Wild Along the Age of Union and Todd Graves Family Foundation. And organizers call it the largest single philanthropic initiative ever dedicated exclusively to species recovery. Vincent, what do you make of this?
So two things can be true at the same time. It is very important to protect the habitats and actual species that are declining. And I think for the average person, when they hear about saving a salamander, like, why is that important? People don't realize how every single species impacts the overall ecosystem. The way bees pollinate plants to help us to get fruits and vegetables and so on and so forth. Salamanders play a key role in their ecosystem. The irony of all this is, though, that Jeff Bezos, and especially his big effort to create a lot of AI centers, AI data centers, and his warehousing, and the way they have this huge goods movement network, is creating part of the problem. And I think he should be spending more money to try to reduce the impact of his operations on the environment. That probably will do even more to save their habitat and the species than what this fund is going to do.
Al, I've got to ask you, is this classic, do as I say, not as I do for Jeff Bezos?
I'm gonna tell you, this is classic Hapur to me, Vincent Jones. I don't like it. I can tell you an endangered species that you can give $200 million to, and that is the black man. Okay,
Yeah,
we
I'll
are
take
an
some of that
endangered
money.
species,
Yeah.
and you can take that money and give it to a whole lot of initiatives in the United States to help protect the economy and the ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. But of course, this is objective, right? So I will say this. That was my initial gut. I am so tired of these ultra wealthy celebrities and ultra wealthy entrepreneurs who lean and stand on the backs of us black people in America to make these millions, and then they want to go save some dolphins. Okay, I get it. Get your polar bear in. That's all good. Then I had to calm down, Dr. Nii-Quartelai, because what I found out is that those endangered species that they are investing in, which happens to be 100 over 30 countries, are mostly in Africa. And we have to understand that by protecting those species, we're protecting the tourism economy of that continent, right, and of those countries. And what that means to us as people of color is that it keeps us employed and able to feed our families. So I had to reel it in just a little bit to make sense of this, but I still stand on 10 toes down that if you got $200 million to throw around at a polar bear, throw a little bit of it in the United States and help correct this huge curve that we have against the endangered species called African Americans, and specifically the African American male.
You better say that. You better say that, Al Reynolds. And while you're at it, if you're investing on the continent, there are a lot of people who are losing their lives to the Ebola outbreak. It's even worse than the last one. And so if we're going to support the polar bears and the salamanders and everybody in between, why don't we support the human life that's at risk due to the public health crisis unfolding right there on the continent? When we come forward, we are coming right back here to LA, and there's some news afoot related to the Paramount merger, and I have a feeling that Vincent and Al have something to say. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 15.